G'day everyone, welcome to this edition of DURKO's Notebook for the 2025 Monaco Grand Prix. Certainly an interesting weekend despite the race. Anyway, got a lot to talk about. Pull up a pew, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. You wouldn't fucking read about it. So ever since F1 first commenced racing many years ago, and basically around the time of the invention of the wheel, it's been racing at the Monaco circuit in Monte Carlo. And as this photo shows, the size and the build of the cars, particularly width and length of the cars, has grown immensely over time to obviously allow for all the hybrid shit. But it's got to the stage now I think the cars are too big. I'm a fan of the Monaco circuit, but if there's no racing action, and as Max Verstappen said, it's just a case of everyone driving Mario Karts, there's certainly no thrill in watching the race or the procession that we've been witness to over many years. And I think something's going to be done, or otherwise Monaco will be putting another nail in its own coffin to be taken off the calendar. There's a lot of glitz and glamour around the place, but is it worth it for the non-event that is the race itself? Because everything else happens over the weekend is great, as we were witness to this weekend, but the race itself has again been a case of putting everyone to sleep. So again, I've been drawn to discuss the issue around Lance Stroll. Now, Andy Cowell has come out in defence of him, saying that the team stuffed up with the radio call, but I don't agree with that. At the end of the day, Lance is the driver in the seat with the two mirrors either side of him, and he should have seen Leclerc coming down towards the Lowe's hairpin, and to just pull in front of him like that was just a complete dickhead move. And I just don't get what Aston Martin Racing or Lawrence Stroll are going to do about him as a racer anymore, because it's got to be time limited. He's just wasting a seat. So, I mean, he did it again, during quali in the race. He was just pulling in front of everyone and just getting in the way. He's just a mobile chicane. He's a modern day Yuji Ide in terms of drivers. So that's it. I just think they're going to, obviously Aston Martin are planning, as per this image, to bring bigger mirrors to Lance's car for the Spanish Grand Prix next week at Catalonia, and we'll see if that works out for him. Now, during quali, obviously Lewis had a blowout at the top of the Casino Square there, but the thing I found funny was the tyre. Now, obviously the front right tyre has gone from being the width that it is to about, I reckon, a quarter of the size. It almost looked like a bicycle tyre once it was left, and it completely dilapidated. And I don't know whether it's got heat shrink or whatever, but it's just ended up as this round tyre like it's come off the front of his bike. I've never seen a tyre do that. It did happen with one of the other tyres that absolutely just moulded itself into virtually nothing. It was just a weird thing, and I'd love for Pirelli to be able to explain that. Now, the other funny was George Russell. Obviously, he had a breakdown in the tunnel, lost all his power, and the Monaco relay team had to push him to the bottom of the track there at the hairpin to get him out of the way. It was interesting how the way the marshals had to do the relay and swap over each time because they had to get back to their posting so they could keep qualifying going. Now, the driver I've got to feel sorry for is obviously Fernando Alonso, and I wonder if this is going to be his last season, whether he's just going to say to Lawrence, it's been great, it's been experience, got to work with Adrian for a bit, but this gig just ain't for me. He's turned up to this race and obviously gone away with 0 points as he hoped for some religious intervention and parked the car at Saint Devant to get the magical space carpenter to obviously wave the wand over it and say, can you fix this heap of shit because it's not working for me. So Alonso's still got 0 points after 8 rounds. We're a third of the way through the season and it's his third DNF. So I think the pressure's on for Aston Martin Racing to deliver a car for Alonso to at least get some points to redeem any hope of his career going anywhere. I've got to give credit to VCAR because obviously with this stupid new two pit stop requirement, it hasn't worked as far, but I'll explain that in a sec. But I think VCAR got it right because they got their 2 mandatory pit stops out of the way very early in case there was no safety car or VSC at all, or red flag or whatever. They just kept going, right, we're going to get these 2 done, bang, 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 get them out of the way, whereas Red Bull rolled the dice the other way and took a gamble on it and it didn't work because obviously Max had to come in on the last lap to complete his mandatory second pit stop. So I think the mandatory second pit stop rule for Monaco is just another failing. It's an attempt to polish a turd that is the Monaco race at the moment, and they can't bring it back next year. If there's a Monaco race next year, they just can't do it. It's not working. As Martin Brundle said, obviously a good idea he's come up with is a mandatory pit stop in the first 20 laps. Then you've got 58 laps to wait and see what happens. And you can probably get through 58 laps on a set of hards if you need to. But obviously the mediums they turned up with, which is the C5, worked well for this round. And the C4s, which are the hard, obviously you could wait and see you go on a length of them if you got to the lap 20 and did your mandatory pit stop then. And make it just the one mandatory pit stop. So it was interesting to see the professional coming together and the way they approached each other. Obviously, it was Lewis Hamilton and Max. They had coming together because Lewis was effectively penalised for impeding Max. And also during the race, Alex Albon and George Russell had their disagreement on things because obviously Alex was holding George Russell up the whole race, and George thought, well, what's the point in being here? It's just a non-event. We're not going to get any points. We're away with it. But I think it's a funny tweet discussion between obviously George and Alex about going out to dinner and who's going to pay the bill as per this photo. Overall, I think it was an amazingly close race at the end. That's the only thing I'll give it credit for, is the top three came in together at lap 78, right on the death knell, for Norris to obviously take the win. But that was the only exciting thing about it, I think, was the close race right at the end when the clerk said, Norris is making mistakes, his tyres are going, I'm all over him like a cheap suit, I can get this. But it didn't work out. But I think it was a good close race in terms of what it is for Monaco. So that's it for this edition of DURKO's Notebook, and I shall talk to you next week after the Spanish Grand Prix. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.